Every great outcome starts with even greater questions. That's why I'm going to start my speech with a question. If you can change one thing in your close surroundings, realistically, one specific thing, what would that be? And then the second question. When you think about the person who could change this thing, who do you think of? Are you relying on yourself or on somebody else? And then the third question. What do you think when you hear the word activist? Does this word have a positive or negative connotation for you? Think about it. Today, I'm going to give my best to answer all of these questions and to change your perception about activism. And I have to be honest. I used to escape from the word activist so much in the past. I would be like, me, don't call me an activist. I have my name, I have my title, my educational background, my fields of work. Don't just label me as an activist. Okay, I am active and I'm working towards the improvement and betterment, but I don't want to be specifically just an activist. Tell the world what I do and how I do it. And even now, I still kind of feel this way because I don't want to be an activist as an isolated case. I feel like activist should not be a profession. We should all become activists. Activists are not just some strange people we hate or some genius people we praise. We all are activists, and that is my philosophy. When I realized that, activism became my lifestyle. And then I started practicing it in the office, on the streets, in the suit, in my heels, or in my sneakers. It didn't matter. And this is me in my full activist mode. Now let's talk about some specific percentages and numbers. 52% of the whole world's population are people under 30 years old. That makes approximately 4 billion people of young and passionate human beings who will carry the future. They will be the leaders and our existence will be carried by them. Yet, although we know all these facts and the numbers are clear, we are still guided by the outdated ideas that age and experience leads the best. We think that by the rule, young people are inferior and obedient. And that is why I understand why young people feel like they don't want to be involved right now. They're waiting for their time to come. They're often telling me that, okay, I don't see any real and valuable opportunity for me right now, so I'm just gonna wait until I get older and until I get real opportunities. To that, I say no. Start now and start with the resources you have. Your steps might be small in the beginning, but every change is a significant change. And when you start with what you have, when you start with those resources, then you're going to be successful, and that is how you start. And to the people who are older than 30 years old, you probably already found your professions. You became doctors, engineers, teachers, singers, and you kind of escaped from activism. But let me tell you, although you haven't become a president or you don't want to be involved in politics, you still can be activists and you still can inspire a positive change outside of your work. You just have to find your passion. And now, let me tell you about my activism journey. Now, I understand that I was privileged and I am aware of it because ever since my earliest days of childhood, it felt like I was preparing for everything that will wait for me in the future. And this is me. I don't know if my remote is working. Okay, this is me when I was a little girl. You see my look and my eyes that are seeing the world the better way than it actually is. And I don't ever want to lose that sparkle in my eyes. And that's when I promised myself that every change I want to see is going to start with me. And I'm sure you heard this phrase a lot of the times. but I feel like it's real. From my 3rd year of existence, I started learning foreign languages, perfected martial arts, received music education, then I was exposed to television and media, and I was doing everything I was passionate about in order to become a leader, a politician, and a person who will be a change maker in the future. I remember that after all my extracurricular activities and school and playing with my friends, I would run through my home at 8 p.m. sharp to watch the news with my dad. And that became like my hobby, because I enjoyed listening to politicians' speeches, and also I enjoyed listening about all the variety of topics, starting from economics to finance to environment and culture. I really, really enjoyed it. And then I started asking my first questions. I was like, Mom, Dad, why I can't propose some kind of idea that I have that can actually be a useful solution? Is anybody going to listen to my proposal? And who are these people on the television? Why are they politicians and how do I get there? And they told me that for now on, it's not possible, but maybe in the future, I will be able to make it. And then life started giving me chances, and some major events happened that marked my occupation right now. I'm going to name just a few. Floods. Being just 12 years old, I have experienced extreme floods in my city and my region. People I love lost their homes and lost their lives. Even though nobody perceived it that way at the time, I knew what was going on, and there it was, climate change and environmentalism. And that is how I became a climate activist. Refugee crisis, 2015. The whole world is talking about some strange people who are coming to our continent in some large numbers and that they cannot be stopped. Back then, all I knew is that equality matters and that we are all the same, and that my fellow citizens from Bosnia and Herzegovina were once in the same shoes. And there it was. This is how I became a human rights activist. And then my favorite topic, Balkan region. I remember I used to turn on the TV and see the politicians from all across the Balkans, and I would feel such a pressure and tension. That made me feel confused in my teenage years, because every time I would actually travel through Western Balkans, I would feel nothing but siblinghood and an amazing energy. And there it was, interethnic reconciliation and peace missions. And that is how I became an activist for a peaceful region. So now, of course, my journey was different, and I was privileged in the terms that I started preparing for my activism life ever since I was born. But I'm here to tell you that you don't have to wait for some major event or tragedy to happen to start your activism journey. You can start today or tomorrow, only if you want. And these challenging times that we live in, it is very, very difficult not to be engaged and not to be bothered by all this that is happening. Our day-to-day life doesn't allow us this, and I know that many of you want to inspire change, but you don't know how to start. It's not easy, but there are a few steps that you should follow and that will make you become a well-aware citizen and successful activist. First of which is field of interest. You have to find your field of interest. I always say that each and every person should have one specific socio-political issue they are passionate about. After you find that issue, you should start investigating it and try to find a correlation to your everyday life. This can be an issue that affects you specifically, or maybe your parents, siblings, friends, teachers, whoever in your close surroundings. And after you find that issue, the next step is to do a proper research. By this, I mean that you need to research all the objectives deeply and steadily before you start advocating for them. It is completely fine to find out about something that is happening through social media or daily news, but you should not form your opinion only based on that. You should expand your research, and it should be almost an academic one. By this, I mean that you should read all the articles and all the available information until you are confident that you know enough before you start advocating. And although it may seem like a lot of work, when you're really passionate about an issue, it's not easy to research about it. You feel like your knowledge and you as a person, you're growing together with it. The third step is plan of action. And the plan of action answers the question, how you do your activism. And the answer is pretty simple. You can be an activist based on your capabilities, strengths, and power. That means that for some people, activism means posting an Instagram story, for others to film a TikTok, and for a third group to maybe make a TV appearance. Some prefer to go out on the streets and start protesting, and the others prefer to do quiet activism from the background, making the most out of their experience and expertise. And this is a bonus advice. Let different people make different decisions and act in different ways, as long as it's civilized. Because that is what makes activism so beautiful, the diversity of ideas and ways you can solve certain issue. And that, I think, is beautiful. That leads me to the fourth point, which is humility and respect. Now, this is very important because activism can be a slippery slope and sometimes make more harm than good. This is why you should never turn your activism into extremism, and you should always approach people with humility and respect. And from my experience, wisdom and kindness always win over some heavy approaches that could lead in severe consequences. So always bear in mind to be respectful. And the fifth, final one is consistency. You have to be consistent. All of us are aware that topics stay in the public discourse as long as they are interesting to the media and as long as whoever can profit from the scandal. But after the topic dies out, after a few months, women are still being raped, air is still being polluted, you name the issue. That is why your activism should be like your second job. Then it becomes a routine and you won't stop until you really see some real progress. This is what always inspired me, seeing the results of my work. And of course, you are going to face with plenty of challenges. You are going to knock on hundreds and hundreds of doors and nobody will respond. But then 1 or 2 doors will open and it will be enough for you, trust me. Just be persistent and just find people who support your idea and mission. And now, just like in life, please don't stop after first or second attempt. Because if you really trust the process, you will see the results and that will motivate you even more. This is me in Glasgow, UK, during the COP26, the biggest climate change conference by the United Nations in the world. And this happened after years and years of being an activist. This is why I advise you to enrich your life, help the life of others, and find your social passion. And in the end, the sentence that I, until now, only used as a fun phrase with my friends, but now I can actually say it. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.